We are back, another episode of Chef's Kiss. It's Peter and John. Dun, 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 dun. What's up, John?
What's up, brother? I told we were talking about this before, but show everyone your Greg Maddox sweatshirt, which is sick.
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome.
Greggy G.
Where'd you get that
Greggy
from?
Magmarks. I got the full-on grout fit, dude. I got my grout fit on today, and I was like, I'm ready for work. Straight up sweaties and a dope Cubs hat. I'm good to go. Now that Red October is over, I can get back to my Cubs stuff.
That's awesome. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second.
Seems like work possibly could be calling. Oh, there he goes. Fresh City Connect hat, dude. Nice. Looks good.
City Connect.
You said you just got it?
Yep.
So I was not
a little late,
fan.
but it matches my softball uniform better because these are
nice.
exactly our colors. So
Beautiful.
I was like, my other Cubs regular fitted hat was like disintegrating. So my wife was like, "Why don't you get that hat?" I was like, "Good call."
John, I was not a fan of the City Connect hats for the Cubs when they came out. The jersey, I was like, that's so dumb. I ended up getting one anyway, and I wasn't a fan. I was like, this is boring, this is stupid. And then I saw the hats again and again. I was like, you know what? I kind of do like that hat. And then I got one as well, and I love it. It's part of my wardrobe all the time. It's a beautiful hat.
Dude, it's
Chicago
sick.
Star right in the middle, nice and subtle.
Oh, it's such a sweet hat. And then the jerseys with Wrigleyville, that's awesome.
Yeah. I thought that was a little lazy, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it was. So, first of all, before we get into topics, Halloween, how was it? Not a lot of trick-or-treaters. It snowed where we are around Chicago. So
right, yeah. It was just cold here. I started my morning off. I put on Creature of the Black Lagoon for a little bit. It was on Universal Monsters channel, and then I put on Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, so I watched that. I put on Halloween in the afternoon, and then Hocus Pocus was on, as well as Halloween Ends towards the end of the night. But like I was telling you, not a lot of kids. I think it's the fentanyl, honestly, and I don't know, kidnappings, cartel, I don't know, everything in our world that makes everybody scared of stuff. And the trunk or treats. But I think the trunk or treats are just a result from the other things that are going on. So not too many kids. So I have a bunch of candy left over still, and I'm not upset about it.
Yep. We have a ton of candy left. Not upset about it either. But it's so weird. The weather was colder this year, and we had more trick-or-treaters this year than we did last year, which is inexplicable. So Halloween duties. So I was Mario, or excuse me, my son was Mario. I was Luigi. The role I was literally born to play, and my wife was Princess Peach, and our dog was Toad. But my son was not having the Mario hat, so it was really fun. But duties, my wife was on Theo duty, our son Theo, and then I was managing the door, like handing out candy. Did you have duties? Who was handling Adriana?
Well, we had the in-laws over, and we had pasta and meatballs, and we just had the door open. And when people came, we would just kind of go back and forth. Like I said, it wasn't too many. We had the baby in our little push cart thing, so she was kind of just going around. And
what was she?
4 hands there.
She was from the Flintstones? I saw on the list of
Pebbles.
Pebbles.
I was Fred, and then my wife looked like Liza Minnelli. Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, who are you, Liza Minnelli? That's funny. But yeah, Flintstones. I usually do, before we had a kid and it was all coordinated and stuff, I would just be Kenny Powers every year.
That's awesome.
The mullet and the jersey. My brother got me the jersey from season 2.
The big Oakley sunglasses.
Super easy.
That's awesome. That's perfect. So you recently put out a great piece of content, and we already talked about it, Halloween. So the original 1978 Halloween, which I think is one of the best horror movies ever made. I mean, arguably, it's the greatest horror movie ever made. The lack of gore, John Carpenter, 1978. So
the music,
the music is great. So, but there are some logistical issues.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to talk about what the piece of content that you pointed out, and then I have a couple of mine.
Yeah, to open up the movie, it was obviously Michael Myers as a child looking at his sister and her boyfriend hooking up on the couch. They decide to go upstairs. They look like they're both into it, so you could assume safely that none of them like turned it down once they were up there. That was like, oh, I don't want to do it, and that's why he left. You assume they went through with the act. He was putting his clothes back on. It was 1 minute and 7 seconds from when you saw the light go off till he was at the top of the stairs. So really quick with the deeds and then getting dressed and getting out of there. But it essentially saved his life, and Michael Myers had his back by eliminating the only evidence left behind, which was his sister. So he would never get made fun of in school for being so quick.
Absolutely. All right, so before I get into my little logistical issues with this movie, a little background. $300,000 budget that Carpenter had. It eventually grossed $47 million at the box office. Now it's become a billion-dollar franchise. They've made so many spin-offs. They made the movie in 20 days. And from the $300,000 budget, they spent half on panoramic cameras alone to do the wide shot, which Carpenter was brilliant to be like. There's so many great stuff. There's so many great shots where you see like Laurie in the foreground and then Myers in the back, like when she stabs him, and then she's like crying, and then he just sits up and turns his head. That was all Carpenter. He again, like he was all about the wide shot. He wanted people to discover the horror versus like throwing it in their face, which is a really subtle, smart thing to do. I remember Jordan Peele talking about this. Jordan Peele from Key and Peele sketch comedy. He goes, horror and comedy are actually really similar. It's all about the element of surprise, and he always wanted to do horror movies. I mean, he obviously did Get Out, which was amazing, and a bunch of other ones, but he always talked about wide shots, like instead of you telling the audience, let the audience discover it. And that was he goes, that's what was the brilliance of Halloween.
Strangers
and I think also
did a good job of that too. Strangers, you saw that one?
Yes.
With the guy with the burlap sack in the back, you can barely see, and you're like, holy shit, he's back there. And then obviously the character can't see him.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like so he was like, half the budget was spent on that, which is ridiculous. And then the other thing the scariest thing is you and I grew up in the same suburb of Chicago, Naperville. Dude, you know what scared me the most about that movie? And I saw it probably at like 10. Probably should have waited a little.
It said Illinois.
Haddonfield, Illinois. Dude, I was like, holy shit, this is where I live.
Right.
Like, this is where I live. And then, meanwhile, I'm watching it with my wife and my mother-in-law, and they're from L.A., and they're like, all of this was shot in Pasadena. So,
yeah, you can see palm trees.
So they're like, throughout the movie, they're like, oh, my God, I know where that is. It's so obvious this is not Illinois. I'm like, listen, like at 10, I had never been to California. I had no clue. I was like, I was hook, line, and sinker, like, this is my hometown.
Yeah.
And this is 78. This is right at like the 60s, and like the end of the 60s, early 70s was like when the suburbs really blew up. People left the city for the safety and quiet of the suburbs. And so that was the scariest thing. It's like evil comes to the suburbs. So people moved to the suburbs for safety, and this movie was like, you're not safe. And for me, I was like, Haddonfield might as well be Naperville. So it scared the living shit out of me.
Yeah. Like you said, it was shot in California. You can see some of the palm trees in the background. There we go. It's always catches me off guard.
We good?
No. It's John's got some technical difficulties here. As we're talking about scary movies, he pops a microphone and scares the shit out of me. But with that, it says issue John's mic and cam already used, blah, blah, blah. John's going to pop back on here soon. And we'll finish up the talk about Halloween. And, yeah, here he comes. Back at it.
Awesome.
There we go.
Sweet. Cool. Sorry about that.
You're good.
That happens like
horror. You're talking about horror movies, then it scares me. It's like,
dude, that was by design. I was trying to freak you out.
I get it. Let the audience discover it.
So we're watching this movie, and we are about 40 minutes in, and so their walk home from school, dude, that took like 20-minute walk from home. And then the car ride or whatever, like that's another 20 minutes. Like how long does it take? Like we're 40 minutes in and there's been like essentially like 2 very long scenes. Although Carpenter does a really great job with like the scariness of like Myers behind that bush and then she looks away and she doesn't see him. A very long, some of the shots were really, really long, but the patience, I think, eventually paid off. But it's not, also, too, like, the way people, like, those are Lori's friends. They're so mean to her.
Oh, so mean.
They're so mean.
When she gets in the car, she's like, hurry up.
Yeah,
I'm like, point, you're just like, what
I'm
the
like,
hell?
why are you friends with these girls? Yeah. So I was like, your friends suck, and they're giving you shit all the time.
Yeah.
But then I thought, so Maria just got married, my sister, and my dad invited all his old high school buddies. And they grew up at the exact same time. My dad graduated high school in 75. And so this movie came out in 78. And all his friends talk to each other like that. They're really just fucking ball busters. They just give people, that's like a term of endearment. They just like all make fun of each other. And I'm like, yeah, like maybe that's how it was in the late 70s, but God, like,
well, that's what they call everybody
Annie's
soft
so
now,
mean.
right?
Yeah, Annie's so mean.
Yeah.
I would not be friends with her.
Yeah. Tell Ben Tramer that she's got a crush on her, and it's like, dude, nobody said to say that.
She's like, keep that on the fucking DL. What's wrong with you? All right.
A lot of boobage in that movie too, surprisingly. I forgot about that when I saw it. I was like, oh, a lot of nips.
Yeah, a lot of nips. Yep. Not great.
Oh, I thought they were superb.
Really?
The blonde one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
transitioning
from nips to baseball, which is my forte. Rangers World Series win Game 4, up 3-1 in the series. Pretty boring game. They just absolutely pounded them. So we've talked about this before. Ball go far, team go far. Rangers out homer and slug their way to success. Teams who out homer their opponents are 20-4 in the postseason, 3-0 in the World Series. My question to you is, how much credit should Bruce Bochy get, or did the Rangers essentially buy this World Series, in your opinion?
I can't say they bought it.
I don't know. I mean, how much money did they give Seager and Simeon? And
Simeon, up the middle, they gave them a lot of money. But you can talk about, I mean, are they still in the top 4 or top 5 for top payrolls? I don't think so. I know Yankees, Phillies. I mean, those teams, aren't here. So I don't think you could say buy it, because at the end of the day, you still have to perform. And they got, I mean, you look at Adolis Garcia's story. I mean, that's just something special. From, defecting from his country, coming here, going through the Cardinals system, getting picked up by the Rangers, getting invited to spring training without a non-roster. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think the series has been boring. I think so too. I haven't watched the entire thing, and I'm really sick of people saying, like, it's for true baseball fans. All the casuals think it's boring. John, can we talk about the ratings? Game 1, lowest rated World Series game ever until Game 2 happened, and then that was the lowest rated game. John, what happened? I thought new rules, bigger bases, pitch clock. That's going to bring so many more fans. Proof positive that didn't work. This is the World Series, the Super Bowl of baseball, the last series of the season, supposed to be the most exciting, the 2 best teams, and it is the lowest rated World Series ever. Why did that happen?
Well, a counterpoint to that, Major League Baseball, with the rule changes, made a ton more money because they increased people actually going to games. Like, that increased exponentially. And so what they did worked. What they didn't plan on And what they did not want Arizona in the World Series. And they did not expect that. They probably didn't want the Rangers in there too. They wanted Astros and they wanted Phillies. For sure. They definitely wanted the Phillies. So not a great matchup for ratings. And I'm sure Major League Baseball was pissed about that. But I don't think it had to do anything with the rules. I think the rules, if you ask anybody, were a resounding success. More people came to the ballpark. It increased revenue. It worked. Also, too, and this kind of parlays into my next thing, did the rules and expanded playoffs get the Diamondbacks in the World Series? I think they did. One, the expanded playoffs, but two, the increased the limit to pickoffs to first base, but also the increased base size. Like, look at Acuna. Like, it definitely increased stolen bases and really put an emphasis on athletic ability and speed, which I think is great, and I love watching them. And I think it was good. Do you think the expanded playoffs are good for baseball? Because I think the MLB is probably like pissed that the Diamondbacks are in the World Series. Like, it's not great for ratings right now. I just want to get your take on it.
Yeah, so I can't really talk shit because look at last season. The first season that it was implemented with the expanded playoffs, the Phillies got in.
That's true.
If the expanded playoffs didn't happen, Phillies don't get in. They don't have an amazing run.
Yeah.
This whole culture for this new Phillies team doesn't happen because of that. So I can't really shit on it too much. Did I think Game 163, one game instead of a wild card series, was the most exciting game of the year? Yes. I thought, if you look back at the Cubs, Jake Arrieta against the Pirates in a wild card game, I forgot what year it was.
15 against Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole.
One of the most exciting games I've ever watched in my life because everything rode on it. And you can say it's not fair to play 162 games and have it come down to one game. Very valid. But it doesn't take 162 to come down to one. We all know every game counts. You win your division, you don't have to worry about that. But I just thought that one game was very exciting as opposed to a series. The series I'm still fine with. I guess I'm impartial. I liked how it was. I liked that game 163. It was very exciting. And I'm okay with a series as well. Obviously, the more teams in it, the more money, revenue generated. But yeah, I don't care about either one of these teams. I don't care about anybody on it. I don't care to watch it. And I'm a baseball fan. You're a baseball fan, but I have other things. Everybody's invested in football, in basketball, in other things going on right now. And I think that's another point too, John, is do you think it's past Halloween and we're still playing baseball? In my opinion, I think we can eliminate April and scooch it back a little bit more. I know, like, I'm a baseball purist at heart, but 162 games is very long. I think we got to cut it before we get to November. Season's got to be done by then. People are already invested. It's Halloween. Got other things going on. What would you say to that?
I would say it's a great idea, but as someone who's worked in business for a variety of companies, a lot of decisions come down to the almighty dollar, and you start reducing games, that's loss of revenue. And now that the new rules have attracted more people to come to games, that's definitely not going to happen. So if you thought they're going to, decrease games from 362 or 162 games, that's definitely not going to happen because it's going to hurt. It's going to reduce salaries. It's going to reduce revenue. Companies aren't going to intentionally do things that make them lose money. So I don't think it changes at all. I think you're totally right, and I agree with you. But again, at the end of the day, this is entertainment and it's business, and they are making money. So that's all they care about. They changed the rules because they were losing fan base. They're like, this is hurting our bottom line. This is hurting the future of the game. Ultimately, we want to put a better product on the field and a better entertainment product. And I think they did that.
I think teams are going to, after the last season, after this season, are going to start taking wild card teams more seriously. They're going to look at the Phillies. They're going to look at the Diamondbacks, and they're going to say, listen, this fucking series, we got to win. We can't roll over and be like, well, we got a 3-game series. We're up 2-1. Like, these wild card teams can do damage because the whole thing, you just got to get to the dance. I don't care about the regular season. Anything happens in the postseason.
Variance, right. Just get in. You never know. Baseball's so random, too. And it all comes down to, like, who's playing their best ball
at that time,
at the end of September. And then the other bigger thing is who's healthy. Who's healthy? That is the biggest thing. Like, who is playing their best baseball and who's healthy. So the Diamondbacks, I've been kind of like, I'm kind of glad they're in it because they weren't supposed to be in it, but they don't slug. Like, they're not big home run hitters, and they do speed and the kind of old school, which I think is exciting and I like. But also, they have no pitching other than Merrill Kelly and Gallen. They really don't have anyone else. That's why Gallen has to be nails tonight for them to have a chance. And Kelly's got to be great in Game 6 if it even gets there. But I came across Brent Strom he's been around for a long time. He's the pitching coach for the Diamondbacks. And I watched this clip on MLB Network where they're interviewing him about, like, how the hell did you get here? Like, your lineup and your staff, like, how the hell did you get here? You know what I mean? And he was the Houston pitching coach for a long time, and they were really about pitch shaping and sequencing, and so he gave this long talk. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I've set up 2 clips as a baseball nerd and a former pitcher. I think it's really interesting and also shows people that you don't have to throw a million miles an hour to get hitters out, and he explains it really well. So the first clip I'm going to show is about how to use effective velocity, and he uses Zach Greinke as an example, who doesn't throw very hard, tops out at 88, maybe 90. And then the second clip is how they use this strategy to exploit the Phillies hitters and win. When you and I thought, there's no way in hell the Diamondbacks are going to beat the Phillies. No way. So I'm going to play that first clip right now because I think it's phenomenal. Give me one sec. Hopefully this is the clip. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. All right. And you can see Brent Strom? Cool. Here we go.
We talked about, let's say, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, let's say. It's very simple. You throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball inside, up a little bit, it's going to play 97 to the hitter's eyes. I don't care what the gun says. Hitters hit what they see or they don't see. It's not the gun. Now I throw 90 down below, and it's 84 to the hitter. That's a huge, huge gap in speed. So we're talking about distance and speed that make it hitting. And Warren Spahn once said it's just upsetting hitters' timing. And I've had a lot of guys that live down and away, which is fine, but you eventually pay a price if that's totally where you live, unless you have great hop to the ball and are exceptional. So we're just trying to develop. Well, basically, I liken it to this, and people laugh when I say this. John Stockton and Karl Malone, pick and roll. There's no defense for it. You know, what Malone would do when he feels pressure on one side would rotate one way, the other guy would rotate the other way. So there's really no set defense. The offense could dictate whatever you do to me, I'm going to try and do the opposite. And that's the way I see effective velocity.
So I thought that was phenomenal. And then
the perception of speed depending on the height of the ball entering the zone.
Yes.
And how it's perceived. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so this is the second clip, which I think is probably even better. It's about how they exploited the Phillies lineup.
Well, I'll give you an example with the Philly lineup. If you look at the Philly lineup, we kind of identified, and with the help from Perry to me, Baum and Turner are basically more of a flat bat type of approach.
Yeah.
But almost everybody else was a dip and lift type of approach. Schwarber, to some extent, could flat bat you and get to the high fastball. But if you look at our approach to Castellanos or approach somewhat to Real Muto and a couple of those other guys, the elevated fastball in would play. And then what it does is they start to feel the pressure of the speed, and they start to hurry the speed. Then all of a sudden the off speed. I remember when we played the Yankees. We had Greinke pitching for us, and we had what we call our blow-by program. And we realized that when we played the Yankees, you look at a Sanchez, for example. You throw down and away to Gary Sanchez, he'll kill you. You throw the ball up and into Sanchez. I have a side view, and this is what pitchers don't understand. If you get a side view of a hitter, and you watch Sanchez, and Greinke throws an 88-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, you watch Sanchez start to go to the ball, and he starts to buy time by leaning back because he realizes he's beat, and the ball's by him. Now, from a pitcher's viewpoint, you see the bat going through the zone, and you go, oh, he just missed that. Oh, boy, I can't do that again. But if you look at it from the side, you see the ball is back here when his bat is into the hitting zone. The same pitch down and away, safe way.
Brent.
So, basically, I just talked about, like, pitching up and in, and Greinke, and what I want that whole clip. Greinke, he's telling Greinke, you got to throw up and in, and he goes, my slug will be over 1,000, off of up and in, and he goes, I'll bet you. Let's see, and he started trying it, and then not only did it work, but his off-speed stuff, change-up stuff away, then it effectively worked away. So bottom line is, if you don't have high velocity, it doesn't matter. It's like hitters hit, like he is a quote, like hitters hit what they see. Like it's all about like what they see, what their perceptions are. Some guys don't throw very hard, but guys have a hard time picking it up. So if you don't throw particularly hard, it's even more important. You have to pitch inside. You have to. And it was just really cool to see like the data and how they kind of exploited the Phillies hitting, because they pounded them inside, and then that stuff away to Castellanos, like those breaking balls away, he had no chance. But it all started from effectively pitching inside, which I thought was really cool.
Does a good job as well, John. I'm sure you've seen Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman.
Yeah, really good.
And the
great
thing
follow.
Is the arm slot, right? He does those transit, or like he turns the opacity down so you can see same arm slot, 3 different pitches. So the pitch arsenal matters too.
Yes.
Okay, so like you're talking about speed, velocity doesn't matter. Same arm slot, 3 different pitches can end up in a triangle. One ends up, above the letters, one's down and away, and one is in and low and in. So it's like when you have that kind of arsenal of pitches and you're showing the same pitch, you're showing that, and then you come back with, a cutter that's blowing, tailing away. Is very different timing, different velocities. And that's what a true pitcher is, as opposed to, throwing a baseball very hard. Kyle Hendricks, like you said, Zach Greinke, these guys who don't have that power have to utilize Greg Maddux. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt that Greg Maddux was never, too much of a fireball thrower. I mean, he had some heat, but, later in his career, his changeup was the best pitch that he had.
Arguably 2-seam fastball that he would literally throw like outside to righties and then backdoor into lefties. Mm-hmm. Interesting story about Maddux that I listened to on some podcast that I can't remember. He is a degenerate. Yeah, he's also a degenerate, kind of gross. But just like practical jokes and pranks. But his thing was, when he was pitching, whoever was catching, once he delivered a pitch, he wanted the ball back immediately so he could set the tone. So like his biggest pet peeve was like, when I throw a pitch and the catcher receives it, fire it right back to me, because I set the tone. I want to know, like, if this hitter's discombobulated, I'm gonna go quick. Okay, if he's on me or whatever, I'm gonna slow down. It was all about pace for him, but he wanted to dictate the tempo. So like his biggest thing was like, when I throw a pitch, I want you to give it back to me immediately so I can kind of assess, which I thought was really, really cool. So I do the Rangers wrap it up tonight? I don't think so. I I think Seager is a little. If Seager's a little hurt, Simeon's a little hurt. Garcia's not playing. Like, it just depends. Like, if those guys are super injured. I mean,
we got to talk about their record on the road. Perfect.
I know.
It's postseason. That's insane.
Right.
They haven't lost a game on the road.
I know. I almost think if the Diamondbacks win this game, they might win the series. Because I could totally see.
Fuck out of here, dude. If they do the same thing as the Cubs, I'm going to be pissed.
I know. It would be crazy. 85% of the time, the team that's up 3-1 wins. 85% of the time. But there are those outliers. Transitioning to NFL news. So, trade deadline, Josh McDaniels, head coach of the Raiders, former head coach, was fired again. How many times has that guy been fired? Like, Broncos, like... Patriots, like, my God, he's been fired so many times. I don't think
the funny thing is, John, is he was probably trick-or-treating with his children at the time that happened. If you think about it,
Oh God, just imagine you're like out, walking.
Trick-or-treat.
Get a call from crazy. What's his name? Davis? Mark Davis? Is it Mark?
Al was the other one.
Al was the other one. Is it Mark Davis?
Yeah. Something like
that. Yeah, and just be like, hey, we're going to let you go. So that happened. Chase Young to the 49ers from the Commanders, which is huge. And I'm thinking, like, John Lynch is a phenomenal GM. I mean, look at what that guy did. Like, to get the McCaffrey trade. To get Bosa, to get all these pieces, this is exactly what the Bears need. First of all, they need an owner who knows what the hell, who knows what to look for. And they need to hire someone like John Lynch. John Lynch played, he knows how to evaluate talent, and he's aggressive, and he makes moves. I think he is the best GM in football. It's just incredible what he's done. And he doesn't rest. He wants a Super Bowl, and he's constantly adding and reloading and doing everything he can to win. And I think that's the ex-player.
After that 3 losses and the trade deadline coming up, and they're banged up and their defense looks not so impenetrable as they did 5 games ago, starts making some moves, and now you have reunited from Ohio State. You got Chase Young and Bosa, and that's going to be good.
Amazing. They're going to be a wrecking
crew.
crew.
You've seen all the successful teams they have. I mean, look at the Eagles. They got Sweat and Hassan Reddick. So, like, you have to have those 2 edge rushers really do set the tone, and when you get to the quarterback, you are more successful. If you are pressuring the quarterback, it's just a matter of the game. You're pressuring the other team's quarterback, you are going to be successful on defense.
100%. And the premium on specific positions. So running backs get paid nothing anymore because they're totally interchangeable. Who are the highest paid positions in the NFL? Obviously, number 1 is quarterback, but then it's a left tackle and an edge rusher and a pass rusher. I mean, those are the 3 premium positions that you want to play to get
wide receiver.
To get a wide receiver would be up there as well, of course. But like those 4, and because you have to have them. You have to have them. I mean, the Packers just extended Rashawn Gary for 4 years, thank God, which is huge. So Cousins tears his Achilles. He's out for the season. Looks like Rodgers might be back sooner than later. Watching him warm up, that's crazy. So Josh Dobbs goes to Minnesota. A couple other notable trades. Bills acquire Packers defensive back Rasul Douglas. Douglas is good, but I just don't think – I think that's a tacit admission of the Packers that they just know they suck and they're not going to do anything this year with Jordan Love, who's not very good, which everybody knew, which is why they give Rodgers an extension. Browns trading Donovan Peoples-Jones to the Lions. That could be huge. Lions are for real. They're really good. We talked about Young to the Niners. Jaguars acquire guard from Cleveland. Dobbs to Minnesota. Bears trade for Commanders defensive end Vontez Sweat. Why? What's the point of that? Is that going to change? What's the point of that trade? I do not understand.
Nothing.
Why the hell would you want
sports media something to talk about?
But it doesn't make any sense. Like you're playing for what? You must really hate Washington if you want to go play for the Bears. Like I don't understand that at all. It makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, those are all really the big notable trades that have happened. But yeah, and then the last thing is the NFC North is a complete dumpster fire, and the Lions are going to take that division and run with it. Packers are terrible. Bears are horrible.
You know what's interesting though, John? I think Josh Dobbs is going to be pretty serviceable in Minnesota.
I think he's going to be good.
Like they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender, but
they're not going to be terrible.
They're not going to be terrible. I think Josh Dobbs is better than people give him credit.
I agree.
He has two great wide receivers in Jefferson and Addison.
I agree.
And Hawkinson, or no, I'm sorry, not Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawkinson. He's a great. He's my fantasy tight end. He's amazing.
So, two wide receivers and a tight end and a very serviceable quarterback that can kind of keep them afloat.
He's good, dude. Dobbs can play. I've watched him. He's good. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think they're. I think the Lions are just far and ahead, but they could give them a run for their money. Bears, Packers, it's bad. But I'm kind of glad, like, this will be the year they give Jordan Love, they have to because Gutekunst is tied to him, so they give him 1 year where he sucks, and then they're like, okay, now we're going to draft a quarterback.
John, did you see the former NHL player Adam Johnson died after he got his neck slit by a hockey skate?
Did this just happen?
Yes, recently.
Oh my God,
so,
no.
Former NHL player Adam Johnson dies after a skate cut his neck. The video is incredibly graphic.
I don't know if I want to see it.
Blood is... I mean, he's cut his neck, like slit his neck open, and it showed. I mean, the blood. There's so much blood. Matt Petgrave is the guy who did it. He leads the EIHL. This is the league that it happened in. EIHL. He leads the league in penalty minutes.
Wait a minute. So he got upended in his skate?
No, John. It looks like he karate kicks him. It looks intentional. It doesn't look like he tried to murder him, but it looks like he was doing it.
Hold on a second. How did his skate cut his neck? How did
another guy's skater on the other team, this guy Matt Petgrave, essentially like karate kicked him in the neck and cut his neck, and he bled out and died.
So that's manslaughter, right?
So that's what we're figuring out now, is if he's going to be charged with murder because he's saying it was an accident.
What?
Watch the video.
I gotta see it. Is it? Are they showing it?
Yeah.
Should we?
No. Don't show it on here.
Let's not show it on here. But I haven't seen it, and I have to. What's his name? I'm not gonna share it. I'm just gonna look it up right now. What's it called?
Yeah, Adam Johnson. Yeah, it's like a very grainy video. I saw it this morning. I made a video for it for work.
Oh, dude, that's so. That's so intentional.
Yeah, it looks very intentional.
Dude, that's manslaughter.
The question is now: are you going to be charged with murder?
Yeah, so I think so. That's clearly intentional. I mean, look how high his leg is.
Right. I don't see this is not a hockey move.
No. You know what I mean, not at all. He went out of his way.
So, John, does that still happen if this was a fight? I was thinking about that. So, say two hockey players are fighting, one gets punched, he smacks his head against the ice, and he dies. Now, are you still holding him accountable for murder as well?
Because they allow they really don't allow fighting too much in the NHL anymore.
But this wasn't even the NHL. This was another league.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, are you charged with murder then? If you and another guy are fighting voluntarily? I mean, this was obviously not voluntarily. Like, he went up and kicked him. So, you know.
Well, it's like boxing. You know what I mean? Someone dies at boxing. It's like you assume that risk. You know, all that's baked in. But
But the difference here is the maliciousness of it. Like,
this guy went out of his way. This guy, he made a non-hockey move. I mean, he's moving and then he stops and turns and then puts his skate in that guy's neck. That guy should be charged with manslaughter, like without a doubt. That's not a hockey move, okay? Right. And it's on video, and it's pretty clear. It's pretty cut and dry. That guy should be charged for manslaughter. That's horrific.
They interviewed players, and they said, I don't believe he woke up and said, I'm going to murder somebody today, but that was definitely an intentional move.
Intentional, like, I'm going to hurt this guy.
Yes.
I intentionally, like, of course, yeah, I don't think he intended to kill him at all.
Sure.
However,
just like if a pitcher intends to throw at somebody.
Of course.
Hit him in the head and they die.
Of course. I think absolutely, but dude, he's called. It's so sad, and
he was engaged to be married. His
dude,
fiance,
this is such a
big thing for him. It was so
sad. We have to end on a light note. This is such a bummer. Yeah. That video is so disturbing. I can't get over
the
it.
The amount of blood that they show on the
it's like covered in his jersey, and that guy clearly was flying down the ice, stopped, and then put his left leg up right in his neck. Dude, I mean, that's manslaughter. That guy should be charged for manslaughter, and I think he will.
That's what they're investigating right now.
What's the investigation? Watch the video.
If it was intentional or not? Yeah, I guess they're gonna.
You don't put your leg that if I know listeners or viewers can't see the video, but look, just type it and go on Twitter. It'll come right up. This guy does a karate kick, like higher than your waist, like up up that high, and that's clearly going for the jugular. Like, it's not a hip. It's not even a chest. It's up
your head.
That's it. Like, they can investigate it. That dude's going to be guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes me think, like, what happens in a game if other things. I don't know. It's just very sad, and, I never want to say someone intentionally tried to murder somebody, but there were a lot of former players who had not nice things to say about this guy being a dirty player. This isn't his first infraction. We'll put it that way. His first infraction of a questionable dirty
Correct.
play.
It's different if a pitcher, young rookie pitcher, a ball gets away from you and it hits you in the head and, God forbid, you pass away or have brain damage or something like that. Like, that's not malicious, and that's not I know you can't prove intent, but that video, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. You can
Now, do you think that's different from like football? Like football, if you took, you say a safety's coming over for a wide receiver who's looking up for the ball, and he takes his helmet, and goes helmet to helmet with another player, and then he passes away. Is he going to be charged with murder because it happened within the game?
It's all context. It's all context. It's all context. I mean, you have a rookie pitcher who the ball gets away from him, he hits him in the head, and God forbid he kills him, or really it paralyzes him, or brain damage. Like, I don't think he should be charged for manslaughter or whatever. If a guy in football, if they just collide, it's all context. You have to watch it. It's not everything is cut clear and dry. Watch that video, that hockey video. That dude stops and makes a very concerted effort to kick his leg up, his skate, and not to his leg and not to his stomach, but to his upper neck. Like, that was clearly a karate kick with the skate, with the intention of hurting him. I don't think he meant to kill him, obviously. However, like, that was intentional. You know what I mean? And if it's a football game, if it's a guy who's clearly going to knock him out with his head, leads, like, it's so obvious. That's why I think the video shows that it's pretty cut and dry. Like, that guy stopped, turned, put his leg up, kicked him in the throat.
Yeah.
Gross. Let's end on something happy. Good God.
Okay.
What a fucking bummer, man. Oh.
Sorry. I saw that. I made a video on it for work, and I was just like, yeah, upset. It's sad. It's so sad.
Okay, where'd you get that sweatshirt, and how can I get it?
500 level. I got it for free. I reached out to them.
What?
Sent it to me.
Dude, you get the best. You get the best free swag.
Ask and thou shalt receive, John. That's pretty much how it works. You just say, hey, I'm going to take some pictures, put it on my social media, and they'll send you shit. How about this on a light note, John? It is November 1st. Halloween is officially over. When is the appropriate time to put up Christmas decorations?
My wife already did it.
No way.
Dude, she had our lights put up. She had our lights put up 3 weeks ago on our house. We haven't turned them on.
Christmas lights?
Yes.
She put up Christmas lights 3 weeks
She's
ago.
already transitioned Halloween stuff.
God.
Like, we still have pumpkin stuff, but, like, now...
Yeah,
I mean, she already did it. Like, our inflatable Happy Halloween thing, which is huge in our yard, like, that's already been done. My wife doesn't mess around.
When does the tree go up?
Tree goes up. It's gonna be tough for us. We're gonna be in the hospital for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I don't think we're gonna get a tree this year. But if it was a normal year and we weren't spending months in the hospital, I think the tree's up before Thanksgiving. I mean, that's how my wife rolls. She's on it. Like she has all the stuff. She'll do the work. Yeah. What about Melissa?
I mean, we decided everything's going to be still fall through Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
She's getting itchy for sure, and I'll be honest, like I'm not a fan. Like I'm a fan of chronological. Okay, Halloween just ended. I still even might watch some scary movies today.
Yeah,
and then getting into Thanksgiving, it's still
like I can't watch Love Actually. Like now, like her and her mom started talking about like Christmas movies. Love Actually, I'm like whoa, wait, way too early. Not like. I need like fall, maybe another scary movie, and then get into fall, like pumpkin stuff, pumpkin loaf. My wife just made this like amazing pumpkin loaf with like chocolate chips in it. Oh my God, dude. So good. I had it last night for dessert. And then like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like that's one of my favorite movies ever made.
Probably one of
the only few Thanksgiving movies. Home for the Holidays with Holly Hunter and Robert Downey Jr., which is a great flick. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a classic. I watch it every single Thanksgiving. And then I'm ready to really dig into Christmas. But
it's just they get lumped together as the holiday.
Yes.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right.
So but yeah, I will be honest. Now that I have the baby, we dressed up yesterday. Like I'm very excited for our first holiday together.
It's gonna be fun. You know, you'll love it.
Yeah, I feel like the magic is back. As you get older, you realize the magic of Christmas was really like your mom that kind of made that happen for you. As you're older, 20s, 30s, you're kind of just, I don't know, for me at least the holidays came and went. It was a time to hang out with family, but there really wasn't any Christmas magic, and I feel like that's coming back now that I have a child.
Yeah, the holidays are so much better when you have kids. Like, it's just amazing. And our son's only 2, but, like, he's starting to remember things. He's starting to talk a little bit more, and I'm looking forward to the, like, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, when he start asking questions, and then he can start hiding stuff and really having fun with it. I'm really excited about that.
Me too. All right, guys.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's November 1st.
November 1st. Happy November. Enjoy your football. I think this series is going to go. I think the Diamondbacks win tonight. We'll see. Our football teams suck. We're so bad, dude.
The Packers and the Bears.
It's just so weird for me because I've had success my entire.
No one feels bad for you, John.
Okay, but why I can't talk about it? Why?
I have never felt bad before. Yeah, you've had a
okay,
run,
but why?
Nobody feels bad after you have a run.
But I'm saying, like, okay, the Bears suck. Okay, they've sucked for years. We all know that. But like, I'm not used to losing like this, and it's hard. It sucks. It's painful to watch. That game against the Vikings on Sunday, I was like, I don't know why I was excited to watch it. I'm a fucking idiot. I forget. And then I was like, oh yeah, LaFleur can't stop the run, and our quarterback sucks. So, and no one's on the same page at all. No one knows audibles. Like, Love's missing throws, and Aaron Jones isn't healthy, who's our best player. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, and then I really thought about, like, I could sort of not to that, obviously to that level of like Bears, but like kind of empathize a little bit. Be like, man, when your team sucks, it is just a bummer. And it really sucks when your quarterback is bad. That's like a team. That's like the Angels. It's like you have all these superstars, but you have no pitching, and you can't win without pitching. You're like, oh my god, like look at all this talent, but we don't have starting pitching. We can't win.
Yeah. It's a good thing I'm an Eagles fan now, so I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Dude, you're a fucking bandwagon fan.
Moved
You're like, God, did you move at a great time? This is like the best time. It's like the best time for Philly sports ever.
Yep.
And the Phillies are going to be good for years, and it looks like the Eagles are going to be good for a long time as well. I think Hurts is awesome.
Yeah.
And they keep winning games. Not pretty, but they keep winning games, and that's all they got to do.
I heard that.
Cool, dude.
All right.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys. That's November 1st. We'll see you next time.
Peace.